Hi, my name is Chris, and I am currently trying to invest in 100 crowdfunding projects. This is my second attempt at making this video. As you can see, I did one! But the original version of this video, I just put it on YouTube and then took it down very quickly because when I watched it, the audio is completely awful. I don't know why. And when I looked at the original source videos, it was awful. Like, what's going on? Fucking Windows. Anyway, I should use a Mac like normal people. But anyway, I wanted to make a video because this is my first investment that I got on camera, at least, in this series of trying to invest in 100 crowdfunding projects, each time £1,000. And the reason I'm doing this is simply because I want investors and founders alike to understand where confidence is won or lost in a pitch. And this is part of a wider thing that I do called cold reads, which is where I'll say everything out loud that an investor might think but never say, so you understand when bullshit gets smelt. So I'll explain why I've invested in Timbuktu. And I invested £1,000. I was so annoyed because the video was so good. At least I thought it was good. But let me explain. Okay, now, this is my investor checklist in the bottom left here, and I'm coming at this from the perspective of a professional investor. And what that basically means, the term professional investor means it's how I build my career, which means I need to make money. And I am, in this pot of money, in this crowdfunding pot of money, I am targeting very high risk, very early stage companies, knowing that maybe 1 or 2 out of 100 are probably going to do brilliantly and all the rest will either be zombies, mediocre, or fail. So, with that in mind, I have an investor thesis. So the first thing in my thesis for an early stage company is there an invention? So is there something new and novel? Is there IP? Is there something that's been created? It's usually a piece of tech, but it doesn't have to be. It could be a process. It can be a key asset of some kind, like a key relationship which just cannot be won by anybody else. Is there a novel invention is a requirement. And then secondly, does that invention change behavior, or does it do something? Does it mean that somebody would normally take approach A, but because of your invention, they now would take approach B, and you need some kind of evidence that that is true. The third thing, I think this is really important, some people don't, and if they don't, fine, but in my opinion, you're a moron, is can the founders do this without having to hire consultants? Like, are the founders equipped to create whatever product or project they are proposing without help? Like, if they didn't have money and they were prepared to graft and suck up the time and the hardship, could they make this? That's important because, you know, my big example is that there's so many AI companies being born right now, but founded by people who've never written a single line of code or studied any form of computer science in their whole lives. And to me, they're dead to me. Well, they're not dead. Their companies are dead to me. The fourth one is, can I 10x my money? And as a professional investor, I need to appreciate that for every 10 investments I make, 9 will not bring anything back. So I must, at a minimum, have 10x a return. And then the last thing is just, do I find it interesting enough to talk about? Because if I don't, then I'm not going to champion it. I'm not going to be a value add. And I might even be shy or embarrassed to talk about it. So those are my checklists. Now, this company, Timbuktu, nailed it for me. It took a little while. It took me 20 minutes to be convinced. So Timbuktu, this is how I evaluated it. So I saw they were overfunding. It didn't really mean much to me. So Timbuktu is essentially, I'll read it out, aims to bring multi-destination travel into the digital age by empowering travelers to design their own trips online with transparency, choice, and expert guidance, blah, 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 blah. It was a bit of a mouthful. But in a nutshell, what it first presented itself as is just they're a travel agency, which bored me to tears at the beginning. However, the more I dug into it, the more I realized that there is a macroeconomic shift happening, particularly in the millennial generation and Gen Z generation, about the kinds of travel that interest us. So I'm a millennial. Basically, I don't like going to one place. I don't like booking a holiday or a trip or whatever it may be where I go to one resort in one country and I have my flight out, my flight in. I'm the kind of person, and so are the friends that I have and company that I keep, we enjoy getting a flight, staying somewhere for a few days, getting a train, staying somewhere for a few days, getting a bike, flying somewhere or going somewhere for a few days, flying to another country, and so on and so on. This kind of multi-destination, hyper-personalized travel is a real trend. And they were able to economically prove that. And I'll show you how. So downloads, let's go here. So their deck I found pretty underwhelming initially. I realized that I was like, okay, how are you different to some of the other kind of tailor and concierge-based travel services? They kept championing this, there are 2x better conversions than other travel technology services. Like here, where is it? They make the claim on their pitch somewhere. And I was just calling bullshit, until they were able to say and convince me that the actual market they're focusing on, I'm just trying to find where it convinced me. The actual market they're trying to focus on isn't the same thing as what a kayak is focusing on or an Expedia is focusing on. They're trying to focus on the people who make essentially 5 trips into one. There's $17,000 average booking value. That's fucking crazy. So these are like high value trips, multi-trips, whatever. And then they made this claim that they get 4.9 out of 5 on FIFO. So I went to FIFO and checked. I checked whether that's a real claim. And I was kind of blown away. 829 reviews, 4.9 out of 5. There is not a single 1-star review. So that immediately was like, does it work, change behavior? Hell fucking yes, it does. Would I talk about it? Hell fucking yes, I would. Now, I started thinking, okay, obviously something here works. It's obvious that the founders can build it themselves, otherwise they wouldn't have these ratings. But I'm still stuck is there a novel invention? Is there something that they have built, some kind of IP? Because the deck doesn't really go into detail regarding their tech. So the next piece of diligence that I did is I went to their website. Pretty simple. And this is their website here. And when where was the page I was at before? I went to this page and it clicked. It suddenly clicked what they're doing. And it was this bit on the right that was really fascinating to me. Because what this basically says is somebody's curated a trip. And you can do it on a shoestring budget. It's not shoestring, let's be honest. A mid-range budget or a luxury budget. And it immediately, in my tech and engineering brain, went behind the scenes and went, what they're essentially doing is that all of these tech travel services that exist, the kayaks, the Expedias, their entire back end, their entire kind of information flow will be built around a single destination, a single purchase, a single transaction, of which there might be kind of services bolted on top to that one major transaction. What Timbuktu has obviously done is instead not make that one major transaction the anchor. They've made the time series the anchor, and they're bolting services into the time series, which then can be swapped in and swapped out. And from an engineering point of view, while it's not like dramatically, it's not really a new field advancing technology, they have re-architected the Expedias and the whatevers. An example of a company that did this for flights was Hipmunk. Not Hipmunk, Skiplagged. Hipmunk was bought. And obviously Delta Airlines tried to sue Skiplagged because it was able to break apart the tickets that make up certain flights. Because most flights are actually multiple tickets, you just don't realize. And so this is the same thing, but for trips as a whole. And that really convinced me, actually, yes, even though it's not field advancing in the traditionally technological sense, it is quite clearly novel. They've rebuilt the architecture with this in mind. So that was a big fat yes. So the last question became, how do I 10x my money? And this is where I went to my little trusty spreadsheet. Sorry, that stupid little thing at the top of my screen prevents me from pressing this one button. God, let me put that there 1 second. What is it? Windows! Stop being rubbish! This is really annoying. Okay, I'm going to put it on a different screen. There we go. And we're back. this puppy, where I looked at their deal terms and I tried to understand whether they've made some kind of claim which I can validate around a potential exit size. So in their deck, here it is. Let's bring this over. Honestly, I don't know why I'm still using Windows. It's fucking rubbish, isn't it? I used to be a big Windows fanboy, but not anymore. Oh, just fucking work. Just work. Oh. Let's try again. Sorry about this. There it is. So they speak about, and it's a really good thing to put in a crowdfunding deck. It's not a good thing to put in a normal deck, but it works in crowdfunding when you're never really going to, when the likelihood of you having a strong conversation with an investor is very low. They speak about things that have exited in the past. Where is it? Have they changed their deck since? They've kind of done. I don't care about rewards. Where is it? Where are you? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, and they also had a good reason for raising money, which was essentially that they're looking to white label their tech to other providers, which I think is smart because one of those providers will eventually acquire the business. I hands down swear this was in their deck. Am I being a numpty? They listed 2 companies. I was going to have to pause this for a second. That's because I was looking at the teaser deck, for crying out loud. So they list 2 companies. Where are you? That were kind of not necessarily recently, but were acquired, that were addressing similar-ish things. Where are you? Where are you? Yeah, so they're talking about it being a $91 billion industry. I question that, but I mean, it's still big enough. What's next? Blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, they had moderately good revenue, so I wasn't too bothered about their valuation. So Scott Dunn and Audley. So basically, there is a precedent being set that this kind of unique travel service can be purchased by private equity for up to $200 million. And so, you can say that if they execute really well, they might get somewhere near that. So I put it in my ROI checker, pre-money valuation of £8 million, which originally made me vomit. But my investment is £1,000. It's EIS, hopefully. So that effectively means I'm putting £700 at risk. I'm expecting dilution of 60%. They're going to have to do, after this round, they're going to have to do a round which is solely focused on how to reduce the cost of customer acquisition, because ultimately this business is going to be one giant marketing business. That the tech is going to be far less important than their ability to acquire customers. And so next round's probably going to be focused on that, and then the round after that's going to be scaling what they've learned. So there's at least 2 major rounds, probably 3. So I've put 60% dilution in. And expected acquisition, let's just say they're going to be acquired for 165, and we got over the 10! We got over the 10! And I was like, yes! Yes! So I went in straight away into Crowdcube, I did all the bloobity blobs, and I made my investment. I did. Well, I did, because you saw it at the beginning. So, I am overjoyed to be part of Timbuktu's journey. What's my reward? Remembering Wildlife Photographic Book. Is that what I fucking get? I didn't even look at that. Oh, well, never mind. I'm delighted to be a part of their journey. And the founders of Timbuktu, what's your name again? What are your names again? Sorry, Johnny. There were 2. Is it Johnny and Giles? No. There were 2 on the cap table that had large positions. Anyway, Johnny, Ian, Julian, Jonty, Giles, Gareth, Yoni and Eve. Tip 1, stop hiring men. Tip 2, if I can be helpful, send me an email and I'll do whatever I can to be of assistance. And a pleasure to be a part of your journey. There we go. Enjoy.